So Luke, what's the name of your business here in Casper?
Wyoming Anglers.
What does your business do? Wyoming Anglers, what is the focus of your business? What do you do here in the Casper, Wyoming area?
We take fishermen and we do guided trips on the North Platte River, on the Gray Reef, the Barraca Mile. We teach people to fly fish. We love to take beginners and get them excited about fishing and show them that they can catch a lot of fish.
How long have you had this business? How long have you been in business?
About 6 or 7 years. I started Wyoming Anglers in 2010.
So Luke, is your business, Wyoming Anglers, just about teaching people how to fly fish, or is there more to it? Is there a spiritual element to it?
Absolutely. God has shown me that He's given me my fishing business to be a light. The words that He specifically shared with me about my business was that it was a tool for the gospel. And so I think by having good guides, patient guides, more than patient, people that really love and care about clients, and just by going overboard to do really good customer service, that they're going to be able to compare us to other businesses in the world and be able to see that we truly do love Jesus. That's the ultimate goal, is that at the end of the day, I mean, it's not about how much money you made. It's like at the end of your life, it's like, who did I impact for God? Who knows God because of me? And that's what we're hoping to do.
So tell me a little bit about Luke Kyle. What is your testimony? How did God bring you from where you were to where you are now as a business owner? What was that journey like? How was that for you?
That was a crazy journey. I worked for another company for about 7 or 8 years. And then my heart just kind of started changing, and I started thinking about starting my own business, and I just kind of quit selling, driving to the river. I remember I kind of quit selling the company that I was working for, and I just didn't feel right about it. And I don't know, it's just God brought everything together at the right time, and I started thinking about starting my own business. I remember one day I was driving to the river. I was actually driving to meet a couple of my Christian friends, and I just said, God, should I step out and start my own business, or should I stay with Crazy Rainbow? That was the company I was working for at the time. And I thought I heard God say, you should stay with Crazy Rainbow. And my heart just sank. I mean, it was in my heart to start my own business. But then I felt like God started to remind me of the scriptures that say, God will give you the desires of your heart. And I don't remember. There were a few other things, but then I felt like at the time it was like God was kidding when He said you should stay with Crazy Rainbow. And He reminded me of how I often, I'll have a guide ask me, can I use your drift boat tomorrow? And I'll say no, just for that shock value. I'll give somebody an answer that I really don't mean, just because I want to shock them. And I felt like that's what God did to me. And so at that time, it was still kind of gray. I wasn't really sure it was God, but I went into the restaurant and was talking to a couple of my friends, and as soon as I spoke what I thought I'd heard, it was like clear immediately. I knew that it was God. That didn't make it super easy. It was still a huge step of faith. You got to have your BLM permits on this river to guide commercially, and I kind of felt like I needed to give my notice with the company that I was working for, that I was going to quit, before I actually had my permits. Well, if you know anything about permits, you have to, they had a waiting list for the permits, and I don't think that I was the next guy on the waiting list. In fact, I know I wasn't, but so I really felt like I was supposed to give my notice before, so it was a big step of faith for me. So I'm just like, okay, God, I'm going to give my notice, but if this is not you and I give my notice, I don't have anywhere to turn. Because of the way the management was shifting in the company, even though I did a really good job and I was friends with almost everybody there, I just wouldn't have had that to go back to, I didn't think. And so it was like a huge, I'm done if this doesn't pan out. Well, it ended up working, and I ended up, instead of getting my permits for like a year and being on probation like they normally do, I got it for 4 or 5 years immediately. And there was just a pressure that God gave me on the inside just to act now, because I really wanted to wait 2 years until I was financially stable, felt safe to do that. You know what I mean? It wasn't, and that's not how God planned it. And God really did cause me to trust Him. And And then when I did it, it was like I was strongly felt that I was not supposed to contact clients that I had because in the fishing, if you know anything about the fishing business, it's real relational. And once a customer that fishes around and has had a few bad guides, they'll request a guide when they find a good one that they like. And so I could have did that, but I just felt strongly convicted that I shouldn't do that. And so I went around to all the other outfitters and said, hey, I'm stripping all the logos off my boat. If you need a guide, let me know. I'll never sell my own business. I want those customers to come back to you. And then, you know, I think to my face, they're like, yeah, but they wouldn't do that. But anyways, instead of turning business away, when they were down to the wire, I was like, okay, I'll either lose the business for good or give Luke the opportunity. They took the opportunity, and then that trust was established once they knew that I wasn't going to take their customers. And then I actually ended up doing more trips that first year than I was number 3 guide for one of the biggest companies here. So it was like God totally worked it out, totally provided for me. And I couldn't see then, but now I can see how God, you know, by even being ethical, the way that I did it has kind of paved the way just for business now and my reputation, which we obviously represent Christ. So.
What is some of the funniest things? Is there any stories you could tell me about when you've been guiding people? What are some of the funny things or a funny story that just stands out to you about fishing?
One funny story I have, wasn't so funny then, but it's pretty funny now. In fact, I just took these customers again. We just got in the river and started floating, and it was a husband and a wife couple, and the wife sets and sticks a big bead-headed halfback fly right here in my nose. And I'm just like, and she's like freaking out, ready to quit fishing. I mean, we were like 15 minutes into the trip, and so I'm like, I don't want her to quit fishing, obviously. And so I'm like, oh, making it, you know, it's not a big deal. This has happened before. You know, just trying to make it light, like, oh, we should get a video of this, a YouTube, how to take a fly out of your own face. You know, but on the inside, I'm rowing over the side of the river, getting ready to anchor, thinking, oh God, how am I going to get this out? Because they're not going to pull this out of my face. And if I remember right, it was actually her idea. She had glasses on that were reflective, and she held them out there for me and helped me get a piece of line on, a line around it, and then I popped it out. So
you kind of look back on that, and it was painful then, but it's kind of funny now.
Yeah, my only regret then is that I actually had the thought, I'm like, we should video this, make a YouTube video of this, how to get a fish hook out of your own face. Part of it was to be funny with her, but now I'm like, man, why didn't we get a video of that? It would have been a cool video.
So if anybody is thinking about starting a business, whether they're a Christian or not, what is some of the advice you would give someone who's fixing to step out there, has an idea for a business, but may not have even done their own business before, or you know, have any education in business? What is some of the advice you would give people?
Just to really do the research in whatever area of business you're going into to find out if that's really a lucrative business, because a business takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money to get started. And for me, I mean, there's no way, I mean, that I want, you know, which I want to know that I'm doing the right thing, and so I always try to involve God in those big decisions, so that, you know, and God speaks in a lot of different ways, and He can give you confirmations if that's the right direction to go. And there's a lot of free, you know, especially here in Catherine, Wyoming, there's a lot of free help, a lot of people that are, I'm trying to think of the name of it, but they'll actually really help you in different areas start your own business. So there's a lot of free things that you can get. You don't have to do it all by yourself. If you're like me, I didn't go to college for business, so I've had to learn it all, School of Hard Knocks.
What is the hardest thing that you had to learn about your own business?
One of the hardest things that I've had to learn is that you have to have balance in your life. I've been through a divorce. You know, at the time I just really was focused on my business, and that was, in a sense, my God. It was like that took all my time and my attention, my focus. And it was like, God, I really had to wake up and realize that you can't, you know, I just naturally am driven in business, and just my wheels are constantly thinking about business, and you have to draw the lines, and you have to make time for family and make time for things that are important. and put your work inside of a box or it'll control you.
What is one of the best things about owning your own business? What is the one thing that is so rewarding to you about having your own business?
Well, I mean, obviously just working for myself, kind of having the ability to make decisions on what I want to do for that day. I mean, there's just a freedom there. That's one of the things that I enjoy.
Is there anything else you would like to share with people about having a business, a Christ-centered business? What is, anything else you would like to share?
I would just say that, if you're a Christian and you have a business, that's your ministry tool. God's given it to you for a reason, so to not be ashamed, not to be ashamed of the gospel. I think He'll give you wisdom, but we're meant to be a light. And like my brother helped me to see one time, is like, man, how much more can I, because I want to be a witness in my life. Well, it's like, how much more can I do that than with a business? I'm around people that own businesses all day long. And so the more that they're influenced, the more that people that they're actually influenced,
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, and blessings on you, my brother.
Thanks.
That's it.